This is from Jeannie Talbot from Lexmark, was telling me about a customer reference of hers who got very sick. He started getting chest pains, had to be rushed to the hospital. Looked like a heart attack. And he's rushing to the hospital, his wife's in the ambulance with him, and he's talking about all the things that need to be taken care of, whatever, take the dog out, make sure that the gas is off, blah, blah. And then he says, don't forget to call Jeannie Talbot because I owe her a reference call. You gotta call Jeannie. That's a relationship. There was this brash entrepreneur several years ago who started a company that literally challenged an entire industry. Very brash guy. And he actually started getting funding and he started making this thing happen. And he knew he couldn't match the marketing budgets of the industry leaders. These were multi-billion-dollar companies, no way. So he decided to build his company on a foundation of customer evangelism. This company would have to rely on customers to do most of its marketing and selling. And in the last 10 years, this company has arguably become the most successful technology company in the world over the last decade. Second story, another company was having trouble getting its story out in the marketplace. I had lunch one day with a senior executive there who told me, we have a great story, we do a great job, we have passionate customers, but nobody knows about it. So a team was formed to address the issue, and an important part of what they did was to engage those passionate customers in telling their story, and it's working big time. Third story, another company. They were trying to figure out how to penetrate non-US markets, places where they didn't know the language, didn't understand the culture. Team was formed, and they addressed this by engaging with local influencers. Not customers in a traditional sense, but these can be thought of as part of an extended customer community. That's working big time. This company has found an extremely powerful and inexpensive way to penetrate non-US markets. So what do these three stories have in common? Well, number one, all of those folks were addressing high-level, C-level, really CEO-level issues. Number two, they all relied on some form of customer engagement to do it. And number three, the leaders of those teams or people who are at least involved in important roles in these efforts, they're all here in the room today, and you're going to be learning from them. So what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes thinking about the significance of what you do. Before we get started, before we start learning all that we're going to be learning here in the next 2 days, I want you to think about the significance of what you do to your company, to your senior management. I want you to think about the significance of what you do to your career and your future. And of course, think about the significance of what you do as far as your customers are concerned. And I have 3 answers to that. You folks doing customer engagement, you're revolutionizing the customer value proposition. You're revolutionizing the customer value proposition. CEOs are hungry for this. And of course, if CEOs are hungry for it, probably the executive that's most important to you, they're interested too. Customer engagement will rule in the next 5 years in a lot of companies. It's going to be as important, I think it has a chance, I'll put it that way. It has a chance to be as important as management programs like TQM, Six Sigma, re-engineering. It has that potential. So I want to talk about these for just a few minutes. How is customer engagement revolutionizing the customer value proposition? Patty Morrison, CIO of Cardinal Healthcare. Many of you know her. She spoke at one of our events a couple of years ago. CIO of Cardinal Healthcare, former CIO of Motorola, Office Depot, one of the GE companies, exceptionally dynamic executive, and a dream customer for a lot of your companies. And she was asked, what does it take to engage somebody like you, such an awesome customer like you, in a reference program? And she said, well, you know what, the first thing is don't just fly in and out just when you want a reference request. And then she kind of stepped back a little bit and started musing about her wish list of how she'd like to be engaged. She said, offer me the full range of opportunities to engage with you. Help me to improve your service to me. Help me to measure the value you're delivering. Help me develop best practices. Let's develop best practices together. Let's see about partnering together. Help me engage in marketing with you. Help me interact with my peers. That right there is a pretty good definition of what customer engagement is all about. Now, I said you're revolutionizing the customer value proposition. What do I mean by that? How can this be? Well, here's a traditional value proposition that your companies and that most executives and most people think of, salespeople and so forth, think of when they think of the customer value proposition. We create and deliver products and services and service them. The value to the customer is that it helps the customer, when you boil it down, the value is it helps the customer get a job done. And maybe it gives him or her a pleasant experience and so forth, but that's basically the value. And in return, the value to the firm is that customer pays dollars, pays money. Now let's look at the expanded value proposition that you guys are part of. I've just reproduced what Patty said there about the value she would like to get. And she does get from a few of her suppliers. These are the things that the company does to deliver that value. Reference programs, communities and social media, advisory boards, events, and so forth. These are the tools to provide that value proposition. And the point I want to make here is that acting alone, not one of those programs, their reference programs, your communities and social media programs, acting alone, they can't deliver that holistic, full range of value that Patty was talking about. But acting together, they can. And when you deliver that value proposition, there's several things to say about this. First of all, that's different from the traditional customer value proposition. It's much more powerful. It's much more appealing than just helping somebody get the job done. That's why we're doing a summit on customer engagement. Right there. To get you all thinking about how to work together to deliver a powerful customer value proposition. When you do that, that's revolutionary. Then, if you take a look at the value that Patty, an executive like Patty is willing to give in return, well, I'll tell you what, let's hold off on that. That's too much excitement for one slide.